Hey guys, how's it going? Today I want to speak about the subject of are emotions irrational? As rational beings, we do try to not have these irrational emotions, but are they irrational nonetheless? The thing is, we got to understand that we as human beings, well, we're mammals, we're animals, we're people who have this sophisticated way of living where we have conscious thought and not just instinctual like a lot of animals. But then we have this whole thing about also wanting to rationalize all our emotions, so we don't want to be instinctual. And the same comes out with most animals in reality, because the thing is that, well, even though animals are very instinctual, they also have rational thought. If you think about it, if you have a pet animal, like a pet dog or a pet cat, or even a pet bird, or whatever kind of pet, you can train them where to go to the restroom and stuff like that, and they know when they do bad. So they have that rationality of, hey, I'm still thinking, even though they're much more impulsive than we are, they still have a rationale. But we as human beings, we try to rationalize everything, yet we're completely irrational. We do so many things in our life that are on impulse. How many times have you seen a commercial or some sort of advertisement on TV or outside, and then all of a sudden you have your craving for your drink, or you have your craving for this and that food, and it might not necessarily be the brand that is focused in the commercial or the advert that you're seeing outside, but it'll be just you wanting food or you wanting to drink. And I feel that we as a society, at least in commercials and stuff like that, they definitely focus on that, on getting our impulses to take over. Because again, I think no matter how much we try to be above this animal-like personality, we deep down are animals. We just have maybe a little bit of less hair than them, but at the same time, we're just literally animals, and everything in this world is pretty much out of control. And it's, even though we have all these laws and we try to follow guidelines and we try to do things in the right way, well, in the end, we're still stuck with whatever nature has given us, with whatever things can happen around us, because again, the world is very irrational. So having rational emotions sometimes can be controlled, but if you're sad, you're sad. You're gonna cry. If you're angry, you're angry. And if you're desperate, you're desperate. And when it's at a minimum level, when you're at that center, when you're very centered, you're able to control that stuff. But when things get really bad, then your instincts take over. So even though we are rational most of the time, in times of need, in times of desperate needs or desperate cases, we need to take desperate measures, and then our thought pattern will be rational still, but irrational in the way that our society thinks. It'll be rational because it'll be that instinct of survival will kick in. But at the same time, then, well, the whole rationale of not being rational will not exist. And that's where it gets complicated, because, well, we've been taught for a very long time that we need to be rational. And it's not always possible, because again, us being animals, us being these creatures that don't always operate rationally, we're not able to do that. So is it bad to be irrational? I don't know. The thing is, it can make us do crazy things, but I don't think that it's necessarily always bad, because the thing that's funny, I feel like a lot of times, is that we feel kind of trapped within this rational thought pattern. And how can I say that? Well, think about it this way. Why do people get drunk? Why do people take drugs? Because they want to feel more than what they're feeling. They want to feel less trapped within their way of being. They want to feel happy. They want to feel loose. And what does loose mean? What does it mean to just laugh? Well, it's kind of like being a kid. You're just being very irrational. You're being very instinctual. And in reality, if we were so rational, well, we wouldn't be doing that, because, okay, it gets us more loose, but it's not necessarily good for the liver. It's not necessarily good for our brain, and it actually, because if you think about it, well, when we're doing these things, we're kind of, it's out of context, out of personality. You're doing crazy things, and then some people might say, oh, well, I blacked out, and then they say, oh, well, that's their excuse for having done something stupid. But it's irrational that you would think that way, because is it because you are having an out-of-body experience, or is it because you're intoxicated that you are not supposed to be judged under the same laws? See? If you kill someone, if you hurt someone, well, the laws, the rational laws, will still judge you. So it goes against the fact that you weren't able to control yourself. So basically you're doing something irrational, because you're putting yourself in a situation where you might do something that you might regret. And then, well, if you were so rational in your thought and your emotions, well, why would you put yourself at that risk? Because it goes against our preservation. It goes against our instinct in some way. So to me, it shows that we are rational some of the time, but emotions, in the end, when they're taken to an extreme height, to an extreme level, well, they are irrational because they're instinctual. So how can you control something that is within your instinct? You can do your best, but in the end, I think the instinct will somehow take over. And that's why people do the silly things that they do. And some people are more in the middle, and other people are more high and low. And sometimes it's just within our chemistry, within our biology, and it's things that can't necessarily be controlled, because we are animals in the end. And deep down in our programming, we're not supposed to be rational, even though we live in a rational society with rational laws and things we need to do in our life. Okay, well, that's it. That's all I have to say on the subject. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.